So let's move to MVP. Um, I'll go with the American League because I'm pretty sure you can guess who I've got. And I think, honestly, it isn't even really, and maybe it is a little bit, but I don't really think that it is. I think if Aaron Judge is healthy, I think Aaron Judge could very easily be the best hitter in baseball. I do. Because, look, he gets on, first of all, he's an analytical monster, right? Everybody loves him from an analytics perspective because he's got tons of power and he gets on base a ton. Like, that's a big thing. But even when he got hurt last year, he still put up 37 bombs. The guy played 100 games. Like, you're trying to get, like, he started the year last year on pace to match what he did when he broke Roger Maris's record. Like, that's a real thing. Now, I understand that people are going to say, okay, Judge is on the wrong side of 30. How much longer can he keep the pace up? And I totally understand that argument. But especially if Juan Soto is hitting in front of him or behind him, right? And this is a much stronger, more fortified Yankee lineup. I think Aaron Judge can do unbelievable damage. He obviously plays in traditionally a very good hitter's park. I know he's not hitting left-handed, but he's plus 550 to win the award. He's either the favorite or the co-favorite to win the award with, quite frankly, maybe his teammate Juan Soto. But listen, I think Aaron Judge is, like, even if the value's not great, I think, like, I don't want to call it free money, but it's pretty close to free money for me.
You're not going to hear an argument for me that Aaron Judge is a bad bet. Right? It's difficult to argue that given what his production looks like when he's healthy. So I want to start with that. But I think when you look at MVP voting and how these things tend to work, we've seen it. We've seen this affect the Dodgers in certain awards at times. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto being in the same lineup creates some fatigue among voters. I think there's a chance that the two of them being in the same lineup hurts both of their chances of winning the award. And the fact that they're both the favorite makes me not quite want to bet it. That being said, you're not going to get an argument from me that he shouldn't be the favorite. I think he should. That being said, to me, a hitter who is of that same ilk, of that same quality, and yet is a step behind both of them and has nobody else in his lineup who's within 20-1 is Yordan Alvarez.
Wow.
If Yordan Alvarez is healthy all year, he's 8-1. Yordan Alvarez, for my money, is the best hitter in baseball when he's healthy, period. Like, I actually think, I think he's special when he's healthy. To me, Yordan Alvarez, again, you want to talk about a bandbox hitter's park. Yankee Stadium qualifies. We know Houston qualifies too. He's going to have guys on base in front of him. He's going to walk a ton, but he's going to have guys on base in front of him. He's going to hit a ton of homers. The only question with him is, can he stay healthy? If you tell me he stays healthy all year and I'm getting him at 8-1, I'm thrilled about that. I think Aaron Judge or Juan Soto, if they weren't on the same team, are both picks that I'd like a little bit better than I do now. That being said, you're not going to hear an argument from me against Judge. I think Yordan's got to win it one of these years. He's just too damn good. So that's where I'm going for my pick, 8-1.
You know what? I concur. I think that, as far as that's concerned, Yordan Alvarez, if you don't think Yordan Alvarez is special, then you're not watching, right? Like, every time you watch the guy hit, it's just insane. He hits over 300. He gets on base 40% of the time. He hits 30 plus, 35 plus home runs a year. Like, maybe you could make an argument for Altuve, but I'm not even really sure that you can. But, like, he's the most productive player in a very, very good Houston Astros lineup. Like, very, very good. And it makes, like I said, another thing, there's a lot of puking for me today. Like, first with Yamamoto, and then the deferred money with Ohtani, and then Blake Snell and all that shit. I'm just saying, there's a lot of puking for me today. It pains me that, the Astros, who I despise very, very much, have had such grand success with somebody like Yordan Alvarez, but you're 100% right. He is ridiculously special, and he will be for a long time. He's still so young. It's so hard to believe. He's only entering his age 27 season, Dalton. Like, it's unbelievable how much better he can still get.
Yeah.
So it really is crazy. All right, National League MVP. I love Freddie Freeman at plus 1,200. I love Freddie Freeman at plus 1,200. Now, I am going to take a wild guess based on the information that you just provided for me, right? Because Ohtani and Mookie Betts are in the same lineup. Look, he's already nodding his head.
Yep.
Because they're in the same lineup, it kind of it fatigues the voters, and it'll take votes away from Freddie Freeman. Here's the thing. What Freddie did last year was, unbelievable. I mean, you can make the case that Freddie Freeman had his best year last year as a pro. He's entering his age 34 season. I don't know that he's going to match his doubles total, but as far as a run production standpoint, right, of him producing runs with the bat and then runs being produced with him involved, right? Just overall run production. I think it could be the best he's had in his career, because if you have traditionally Betts and Ohtani hitting in front of him, there's going to be a lot of scenarios. You and I discussed this last week. It's going to increase way above what the mean would tell you about how many times he's going to start with runners on base in the first inning. Like, he's just going to get opportunities to hit with runners on base. That's the first thing. And not only that, but even if the Dodgers decide to shift the lineup a bit and they put him in a position where he's scoring more runs, becoming a player that becomes the first benefactor of a run production cycle, I think that that's another part of it that caters into his favor. I know that it might fatigue the voters, but I love Freddie Freeman for MVP. Plus 1,200, I actually think it's a relatively good number for that spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad number, and I think as highly of Freddie Freeman as anybody. If you made me take a Dodger, I would take Mookie Betts.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's probably who I'd favor, but you can't really go. I mean, him, Ohtani, Freeman, all of them are going to be batting right next to each other and have incredible potential to win the award. I don't hate it. You hit on the voter fatigue thing with multiple guys being on the same team. I do think that matters. I think it works against all three of them. I also think the knock with Freddie is the home run numbers are not going to be in the 35, 40, 45 range.
Right.
And so while the RBI numbers are going to be great, the doubles are going to be great, he's not going to have that same punch with the homers and the stolen bases that some of these other guys
will. It's going to hover around 25-ish.
Yeah, so that might work against him a little, but I can't hate the pick. For me, and again, I look at this from a betting value perspective, right? The most likely player to win the award is probably Acuna, but again, we're talking back-to-back voter fatigue. Yep. They don't like doing that. So if I take the Dodgers out of my thought process, I take Acuna out of my thought process, that gives us Tatis in the running. I'm not totally bought in on Tatis staying healthy. I talked about why I like his RBIs under last week. I think Bryce Harper at 10-1 is the pick for me.
Yeah, wow.
Bryce Harper is a guy who is now finally coming back into the season fully healthy. He's playing first base, which is going to be a lot less on his body. It's going to be a lot more of him just focusing on hitting. And Bryce Harper is also a guy who I think he likes to respond to criticism. He likes to, he's very demonstrative in that way, right? And again, we're talking about a tiny ballpark in Philly, a team that lost a series that a lot of people assumed they would win against Arizona last year. I think Harper comes into this season with a big chip on his shoulder, playing in a little baby ballpark, getting a lot of matchups against the Nationals, the Mets, and the Marlins. I think Harper is wildly undervalued because when he's at his best and when he's healthy, he is clearly one of the best and most clutch hitters in baseball. I don't see any reason why he can't hit 40 homers this year. I'm not saying he will, but I don't see any reason why he can't. He'll be in the middle of a lineup where he's going to have good hitters around him, just like we talked about with the other guys. So for me, as far as value is concerned, Harper at 10-1. There's nobody else in that. I mean, I guess you could look at Trey Turner down at 22-1, but I don't think he's going to compete with Harper for that award, especially not from like an RBI's perspective. So, if we're not going to go chalk with Acuna, I think Harper's the way I would look.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very possible that Acuna does go back to back in my mind. I mean, he's just, I mean, you could very easily make the argument that he's the best overall player in baseball. I mean, I know that, a pitching Ohtani kind of makes the argument tough, but it just from a pure offensive player perspective, just 5 tools, the whole bit, like Acuna could very easily be the best player in baseball, stats independent.
Yeah, and one note too, because you mentioned Ohtani, he's been insane in the spring, and it's hard to argue that there's value in a number with him at plus 750, especially we touched on the other two guys in that lineup.
Yeah,
it's possible that with him not having to throw bullpens this year, not having to think about pitching scouting reports all year, if that guy unlocks another gear as a hitter, look out. I don't know I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm fascinated to see if it does, because that'd be fun.
Very easily could.